This is a special meeting under RCW 42.30.080. Special meetings are to be called at a time by the presiding officer of the governing body of the public agency or by a majority of members of the governing body. I did not call this meeting, so I take it that Commissioner Peck and Commissioner Mullen called this meeting?
I did not call this meeting at all, no.
This was done at my request and the prosecuting attorney's request.
But it says under RCW that only special meetings can be called by the board.
Well,
I think we got,
that the board concurred in calling it that special meeting.
well, Keith, under RCWs, you have to have either the chairman or the majority of the board call the meeting. You can't call it, Sean can't call it. And I don't see a need for this executive session. We have a demographer that I would like in the regular meeting so that the public can hear it.
Well, that's certainly possible, but requested the request of the prosecuting attorney that, Sean, do you want to speak to that?
And I apologize, Peter, because it looks like we don't have a means for a special meeting, and we have got you on the phone and I hope that you can attend the regular meeting.
Yes, I'm planning on being on that meeting to answer any questions.
Thank you. So at this time, we have the meeting.
Yeah, if we just give me just a second, I'm just reviewing the. If the board doesn't want to proceed with a special meeting prior to the meeting, I would then ask for an executive session prior to getting into the information with the demographer. I think it's important that the board has the opportunity to discuss with our outside counsel regarding the information, regarding any potential issues surrounding the ongoing litigation and risk associated with that. This gives the board an opportunity prior to the meeting to have that information available so that way the meeting can take place and alleviate the need for a special executive session during the meeting, because the board would have had an opportunity to have that discussion, have the opportunity to ask questions about this, better inform the board of the information contained in the materials that were sent out. And that would give an opportunity for then the public to have a better opportunity as well. If the board members are better informed about this information, that would certainly help, I think, members of the public be able to hear and weigh in appropriately. So I'll defer to the board. Usually these are sent out. Usually information is provided back to the county administrator if there's objection to it or whatnot. It just made sense to have a meeting prior to the 9 o'clock time so it doesn't take up the public's time. Many members of the public come, they don't want to sit and wait for potentially an hour or more for executive session if that could be avoided, knowing that we have this material available for the public to review. And that was certainly the design of that communication. I would suggest that we go forward with the discussion right now so the board has the opportunity in advance to have that information. I think it's always better to have that information available to the board rather than for the first time having it discussed during the meeting. I would defer to the board. The board had made comments at the last meeting, requests for demographics, and that would have assisted the board in making its decision. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for the board to now have an executive session where the board could speak with candor. The board could ask questions of the demographer, of our outside counsel, how this might affect the board's decision, and it would make sense to do that in an executive session. So whether we do an executive session now under the special setting notice, or we do it during the regular meeting, completely up to the board.
So you're stating that you're gonna call an executive session during the meeting?
I would like that, yes.
You have the authority to call the executive session?
No, I have the
Okay,
authority to.
that's what I wanted
I have
cleared
the
up.
authority to ask the.
Because Sean, I'm looking at everything in this demographer's information, and I don't see any reason why we got to be in executive session to talk about this in the open public meeting.
We're also in litigation, so I think it.
We are in litigation.
Now we've crossed the line, gentlemen. We're discussing the merits of county business in a meeting that's not technically a
That's right.
meeting. And
There is no meeting.
I'm just going to say, while I understand the chair's technical objection, we've got people lined up, we've got people on the phone, we're paying. It seems like
Yeah.
the reasonable thing to do is just go ahead and have the advertised special meeting. Yes, there was an administrative glitch. I don't think that needs to stop us from at least hearing people out. And anything that's said, if somebody wants to bring it up in public session, they can do that later. I don't see the harm.
What's discussed in executive session is supposed to stay in executive session. Now, I am not for this special meeting because I didn't call it. If Commissioner Mullen and you want to override me, please go ahead.
Your objection is simply that you didn't call it?
My objection is I don't think we have any information here to discuss in executive session. It's already been out there for the public to view with the redistricting committee, Commissioner Peck. There's no new information here.
As stated, if a majority of the board members wants to proceed with the special meeting as it was advertised and listed, we can do that. Otherwise, we just have the members call back at 9 o'clock during the regular meeting and wait and see if there's a motion or desire to go into executive session for discussion.
I understand the possible thoughts about having the meeting. What I don't like is the fact that it was called without anyone else's approval. And it gives the impression, at least to me in my eyes, calling a meeting before our existing meeting, when it's out of the ordinary, leads me to suspicion that somebody wants us to possibly change our line of thought on what's already been presented to us.
Well, I'm not going to comment anymore right now because if there's no decision or no majority of the board to move forward with the meeting, we could just wait until 9 o'clock.
Okay, we'll wait till 9. Sorry, Mr. Morrison.
No problem, I'll